So MultiVersus is the new hot piece of ass on the fighting game market. If you're anything like me, you're probably wondering just how player-first games managed to make a character as seemingly boring as Velma play as interesting as an inherently exciting character like Jake the dog. When I first saw this roster, I thought there was no way they'd be able to make all of these characters feel interesting and unique. Like, look at this, Tom and Jerry, what are you kidding me? I wouldn't want to design a fighting game character around Tom and Jerry if you paid me $1 million. But thankfully, the devs working at Player First Games are way more creative than I am, because I recently got a chance to play the game's closed alpha, and I was genuinely blown away with just how fun each and every character was. Well, almost every character. Now, I love fighting games, but look, I'm not going to EVO anytime soon. You know, I'm no pro fighting game master or anything, so I'm going to be looking at this roster purely from a, like, upper-level casual fighting game player perspective. So let's not waste any more time and get into my breakdown of the current roster. First, we got Shaggy, who looks weak and scared, but then starts throwing hands harder than Mike Tyson the second you press a button. Shaggy's a bruiser character who's ready to bring the Scooby smacks to anyone stupid enough to go up against him. Look at the technique on Shaggy. Dude just launches straight into a textbook southpaw like he's been boxing his entire life. Shaggy's the ultimate mind game character because in the loading menu he looks like a weak coward, but then the second you get into a match he lets everybody know that they're about to regret installing this game. Jesus Christ, why is Shaggy so cut? Shaggy doesn't mess around, alright? Get ready for this guy to go from scared bitch to sandwich in about 2 seconds flat. Shaggy's neutral special is Zoinks, which allows you to charge and build up Shaggy's rage, giving him a damage and range buff to all of his and nearby allies' attacks. Yeah, doesn't that just sound like classic Shaggy Rogers? Building up his rage meter so that he can bash his opponent's faces in. It also gives him access to new moves like this ground slam, as well as buffs existing ones. His side special is a flying roundhouse kick, which references the 18 years Shaggy spent training under Bruce Lee. Oh, you don't remember that from the show? Me neither! His up special is an uppercut that can be chained up to 3 times. His down special rips a sandwich from the ground and gives him a projectile attack. The sandwich heals allies it passes through, as well as damages enemies. If enraged, the sandwich will become much larger when thrown, as well as stay on the screen after hitting an enemy. Shaggy hits hard and doesn't give a fuck about your feelings. He's simple and straight to the point, but his rage buff gives him just enough options to make him feel complex. He's a great all-around beginner fighter built entirely around a meme. Rain Dog is the only fighter entirely unique to this game, and makes you feel like your controller is covered in honey while playing him. Rain Dog is so goddamn slow compared to every other character that choosing him makes you feel like you're choosing lag. But you know what? That's fine, because he gets the job done. This big fluffy Lord of Thunder will give your team more support than an extra tight sports bra. Between his standing neutral projectile, 2 different traps, and ability to yoink his ally out of harm's way, this guy absolutely dominates the battlefield. His standing special shoots a tether between him and his ally, damaging all enemies in between. Press the button again and Rain Dog will pull his ally back to him. This move can be anywhere from life-saving to incredibly irritating for your ally, which is pretty much how you want any good support to be. His side special is a pounce that does damage and knocks back enemies. His down special allows him to charge up and vomit a slow-moving projectile that leaves a trail of fire when it hits the ground. This move is great for controlling the battlefield, but if it doesn't hit an opponent before it lands, you'll have to wait 40 minutes for Rain Dog to get the awful taste out of his mouth before he decides he wants to fight again. The fire deals damage over time, and any allies that walk through it will have a fire buff added to their attacks. Finally, his up special summons a crystal that periodically zaps the terrain with lightning. Combine this with the fireball and you can pretty much guarantee your opponent's gonna take damage no matter where they're standing. But what, you think he's still not supportive enough yet? Well, if you do his up special in the air, Rain Dog literally becomes a projectile that his allies can pick up and throw. Here comes the pain, dog! Rain Dog's a super fun support that's all about making the arena hazardous for your opponent. Just know that with great power comes great patience. Steven Universe is without a doubt the ugliest character in the game because Jesus Christ, just look at him, and a lot like Rain Dog in that he's also a support, but instead of covering the terrain in traps, Steven makes sure that nobody gets to play the game except him. This dude's utility is nuts. Everything your opponent thinks while fighting Steven is incorrect. Oh, you're playing the game? Not anymore! Almost got a kill? Psych, I heal! No walls around? Dog, I am a wall! Fighting one opponent? Nah, bitch, how about 2? Pick Steven if you want to absolutely redefine the rules of the entire game. Steven's standing special sends out a tether that gives enemies a bubble debuff. Get 8 knockbacks on an enemy and he'll straight up get removed from the game for a short period of time. 8 knockbacks may sound like a lot, but believe me, it is not. Steven's side special throws a shield forward that grants allies armor and creates a temporary wall. This move is great because it literally changes the layout of the battlefield, allowing you to pull off damaging wall combos on your opponent or enjoy a brief moment of respite. Steven's up special is similar, except it creates a shield above him, leaving a platform for allies to jump on. Steven's down special is nuts. He plants a watermelon, creating an area that will heal allies over time. After a short period, the watermelon explodes and becomes this nightmare, which will fight for you and your allies. And dude, just look at this thing's absolute bloodlust. In the air, this move turns into a shield surfing attack that damages enemies and sets them up for air combos. Yeah, the watermelon Steven doesn't attack that frequently, and Steven's shields have pretty high cooldowns, but I don't think I have to explain just how valuable being able to summon another ally and change the terrain is in a team arena fighter. Steven's a great support character with a ton of tools at his disposal, and unlike Raindog, all of Steven's abilities benefit him just as much as they do his teammates. Up next is Garnet, who's got a dump truck so thick it looks like it was sculpted out of clay. She's got thighs as thick as tree trunks that could crush a watermelon Steven with ease, and yet somehow none of her attacks involve any kicks. But whatever, she's classified as a bruiser, but I'd say she's more of a hybrid between a bruiser and a support. Her neutral special creates a singing barrier that stops projectiles and allows her to deflect them back at opponents if she hits them. Allies that pass through the barrier get a speed boost with 1 stack, and an armor break to melee attacks with a 2nd stack. Her side special allows her to fire her gauntlets like rockets. This move's fine. It's nice that she has a projectile, but the rockets are super slow, don't travel super far, and their cooldown is pretty long. But considering she has an attack that allows her to use her opponent's projectiles against them, I don't think she's really going to be struggling at range. Her up special fires an electric bolt that I can only assume is summoned by her thunder thighs. That gives allies a damage buff and debuffs enemies. Use her up special in the air and Garnet will T-pose enemies straight into the fucking Shadow Realm. Finally, her down special places a marker that Garnet can dash to, grabbing and damaging enemies along the way. If an ally picks up the marker, Garnet can dash to them, canceling their hit stuns and knockbacks while also refreshing their air options. Which, again, I think qualifies Garnet as a support type. Although I guess I don't really know how supportive it'd be to have 300 pounds of pure ass hurtling towards you at Mach speed. Not only does Garnet have plenty of ways to close the distance with her opponent, but she's also got ways to stop their ranged attacks. With the fists of a brawler, the utility of a support, and the thighs of Brock Lesnar, Garnet makes for an excellent hybrid character. Oh yeah, now we're getting to the fast characters, baby! Now we're getting to the fast characters, baby! Harley Quinn's a character you're gonna be getting your ass kicked by for the next year of this game's lifetime. She's insane. Playing Harley makes you feel like you brought a bat to a fist fight. And also a gun. They made Harley wicked fast, but also gave her a ton of tools to control the battlefield. So half the time you're fighting her, you don't even know what the fuck is going on. When she's not doing cartwheels around you, she's using her passive to light you on fire, setting traps all over the field, or bashing your brains out of your fucking skull. Harley's standing special allows her to throw a Batman-shaped bomb that sticks to any character it hits. Press the special button again and the bomb explodes, applying a confetti debuff to the opponent. Once debuffed, if Harley or her allies hit the opponent 5 more times, they'll catch on fire. She can also apply this debuff by using her up basic attack while in the air. Her side special allows her to dash to the side while shooting a gun behind her. This move's great because not only does it damage enemies, but it gives Harley a ton of mobility. Her up special swings a bat over her head, so that's cool. And her down special places a jack-in-the-box that detonates when an enemy touches it. Allies can also use this jack-in-the-box to reset their air abilities. This move is what makes Harley such a goddamn headache to fight. Not only are her speed and mobility insane, but she's also able to diminish her opponent's mobility as well. She's wild. She's just an all-around wild character. Arya Stark's in this game for some reason, and if you think that's crazy, wait until I tell you about how she's this game's version of Kirby. Look, it's not that I don't like Arya Stark, but did I really need to see her beat the shit out of Shaggy? Did I really need to see her become Shaggy? Jesus Christ, Arya's passive is like the size of a novel. Also, real quick, can we talk about how there are too many kinds of fucking buffs in this game? Confetti buff, bubble buff, weaken debuff, rage buff, pie buff. Anyway, Arya's passive allows her to deal critical hits while attacking enemies from behind. Every time she knocks out an opponent, she spawns a buff that heals allies and slows enemies in the shape of... Oh, okay, that's fucked. What, is Shaggy's family baked into that pie? How is she in this game? On top of that, when Arya's ally gets knocked out, she gains a rage buff. Arya's neutral special allows her to steal a fighter's face and turns her basic neutral attack into theirs. Pressing the neutral special button again will allow her to stun all enemies around her. Arya's side special throws a knife that attaches to fighters. Press the input again and Arya dashes to the fighter, dealing damage if it's an enemy. If this attack is on cooldown, Arya will turn into Meta Knight instead. Arya's up special is an overhead slash, which is super cool because if it hits an enemy, it'll position Arya behind them and allow her to get some juicy critical hits. Her down special allows her to dash to a nearby ally and give her and them an armor break buff on their attacks. This buff also causes enemies to turn their backs on Arya's attacks, which, again, allows for more of those nice critical hits. Arya's another incredibly fast character that's all about disorienting her opponent. She's got moves that put her behind her opponent, moves that turn them around, moves that stun them, and even moves that steal their moves. Definitely not an easy character, but one that can deal a ton of damage if put in the right hands. Hey, are you a college student that plays video games as a means of escaping the harsh reality of your crippling debt and anxieties? Well, don't play Finn. Finn's gameplay is all about saving up money for minor buffs and being financially punished for using strong attacks. Awesome, how fun. But if you like hype animations, choose goose, and looking like a general idiot, then Finn might be the character for you. Every time Finn or an ally hits an enemy, they drop coins that Finn can collect. With enough coins, Finn can use his down special to buy boots, which gives him and his teammates a speed boost, butt armor, which gives his team a projectile shield while charging attacks, or BMO, which unlocks a new attack. Doing his down special in the air causes Finn to spend some money and throw a gem that he can dash to, or an apple core if he's out of funds. Thanks guys, having a lot of fun playing your game and thinking about my own financial struggles. Finn's other passive allows him to move while charging his basic attacks, which weirdly results in some of the hypest animations in the game. It feels so good to sprint across the screen charging up an attack like this. It just makes Finn's sword feel so weighty and satisfying in a way I really didn't expect from this game. Anyway, Finn's neutral special is a big high five that he can charge up by running. If he hits an ally with a fully charged high five, it'll create a shockwave that knocks back enemies. Finn's side special is a dash that blocks projectiles and allows him to act immediately if it hits an enemy. This becomes a sword slash in the air that hits stronger at the end of the move. Finn's up special makes him swing his backpack around, which is super strong, but also causes him to drop a ton of money. The more gold he has, the stronger the attack hits, but the more gold he'll drop as well. Great guys, way to turn the most fun-loving character in television history into the most stressful one of gaming history. Jokes aside, Finn's passive makes him a really unique character to play. The fact that you can choose between 3 different items to buy makes you feel like you're always making interesting decisions every match. And keeping track of your gold adds a fun minigame to each fight. I also love being able to run and charge my basic attacks, and his sword swings are just so damn satisfying. Next up is Taz, and he's a lot like Kirby too. If Kirby seasoned you before eating you, and also chewed. Taz's attacks apply a tasty debuff. Shut up game, tasty debuff. And at 16 stacks, your opponent will turn into a cooked chicken, leaving them unable to attack. When a cooked enemy takes damage, bits of chicken will break off and heal Taz or his allies if picked up. Taz will also lick allies he passes and heal them slightly. Licking an ally also has a cooldown. This guy's a freak! I'll be honest, I hate playing Taz. For a character that should play like a hurricane, he feels more like a lazy river. All of his attacks have a really long startup period, his basic combo is only 2 hits long and has absolutely no range, and none of his moves feel very weighty or chaotic. But anyway, let's get into his attacks. Taz's neutral special just fucking eats a dude, complete with a chew button and everything. He can also eat projectiles and spit them back, but good fucking luck landing that timing. His side special turns him into a tornado, dealing damage to enemies and granting allies a speed buff. Passing an ally will also extend the duration of this move. His up special starts a dogpile, which is a lot like the tornado attack, but worse. And his down special is a slow-moving projectile, which is bad. This guy is just so clunky and unsatisfying to play. He's supposed to be this torrent of chaos, but he feels just about as slow as Rain Dog. I don't know why they wouldn't make him an assassin-type character with slash attacks and high mobility. His passive is cool, but getting that debuff off is just such a nightmare. Fuck Taz, moving on. Wonder Woman feels just as badass as she should. She's absolutely brutal, constantly bashing enemies with her shield only to pull them back with her lasso to do it again. Playing Wonder Woman makes you feel like you're breakdancing with a sword. She feels powerful but fluid at the same time. Her attacks hit hard and she's got a ton of defensive options, but she doesn't feel sluggish like Rain Dog or Taz. Wonder Woman's passive is Brace Meter. When she blocks a projectile with her shield or gets hit while armored, she fills a meter which is used to power up her Amazon Shout. Basically, that shockwave move you see her do in the movies. Her neutral super is a lasso that pulls enemies towards her. Her side special is the Shield Bash that destroys projectiles and gives Wonder Woman and her allies armor. You can hold the button down to keep the shield raised, giving armor to allies you walk past. Her down special is a shielding buff that cleanses her and her allies of debuffs, as well as blocks both knockback and damage from the next incoming hit. Finally, her up special is an upward shield bash that allies can use as a platform. Wonder Woman's like a freight train with a harpoon gun attached to it. She's got plenty of shields to keep her safe from projectiles, but if an enemy's being annoying and staying at a distance, she can either bum rush them without worrying about damage, or lasso them closer to her. On top of that, her combos feel just as fast and fluid as any assassin character, making her a super fast, super satisfying tank. Jake the dog is classified as a bruiser hybrid character, but it should be classified as a fucking menace. Look at this fucking guy, look at this beast! Jake is everything the Tasmanian Devil should be. Every one of Jake's moves are spectacular. Look at this absolute fucking powerhouse. Any character that can fucking ollie on his opponent is gonna be an automatic favorite in my book. Jake's neutral special eats the nearest fighter, giving allies armor and enemies a weakness debuff. Look at him, he just doesn't even care! Sick of being a dog, Jake's side special turns him into a goddamn horse. Sick of being an animal, Jake's down special turns him into fucking anything. Honey, I'm home! In this form, projectiles bounce off him as well as fighters. Sick of being short? You're Jake the goddamn dog! The sky's the limit! This is his up special, by the way, and it's awesome. While Jake stretches, he can only be hit on his head, and at the end of stretching, his cheeks will become a projectile, obliterating anything in their way. Jake just brings me so much joy. He's just so weird and unpredictable, and all of his attacks feel like they flow into each other so seamlessly. He's a character that's fun even when you have absolutely no idea what you're doing, and only gets more fun the more you learn him. Superman's a character you play when you just want your opponent to know how pissed off you are. 1 second, Superman's like, happy to be of service, ma'am. And the next, he's, get over here, you little shit! He's got all the ferocity of Shaggy if Shaggy didn't give you a fucking chance. Look at him just going to town on his opponent. Like, Jesus, Superman, I think you got him! This is like the most smug depiction of Superman I've ever seen, and I love it. His passive allows him to dodge vertically, whereas other characters can only dodge side to side, and you can just tell that Superman is real proud of this passive. Oh, I'm sorry, were you trying to hit me? Superman's neutral special is Ice Breath, which applies an ice debuff to enemies and an ice gauntlet buff to allies. Allies with ice gauntlets apply ice debuffs with their hits. Get enough ice debuff stacks on an opponent and they'll freeze for a few seconds. His side special is a dash punch that you can aim with a reticle. If you do this attack in the air, Superman will grab his victim by the neck and cave their face in. His up special is absolutely fucking hype. Do this in the air and Superman grabs the opponent and tosses them in a direction of your choosing. Finally, his down special is Heat Vision, where he uses his laser eyes to trace a line along the ground that explodes after a short delay. This move also applies a fire debuff. Superman plays exactly how you'd want him to. He's got armor on a lot of his attacks, he's got a couple of grabs, and he's scary as hell. Just like Wonder Woman, he's a super fun tank that doesn't feel overly sluggish like most tank fighting game characters. You ever feel like Batman wasn't ninja enough? Well, if you're one of the 3 people with that complaint, I've got some good news for you. In this game, Batman literally becomes the knight during his jump animation. This guy's about as close to the Batman fantasy as you could possibly get in a Super Smash Bros. Style game. Even his neutral basic attack is sick. He throws a batarang that you can control mid-flight, and it's awesome. Batman's a lot like Wonder Woman in the sense that he's a vicious brawler with tons of options for getting in close to his opponent. But while Wonder Woman's all about defense, Batman's all about agility. The first thing you gotta know about Batman is he loves being in smoke. His passive causes him to apply stacks of weakened debuff to his opponent while invisible, while also gaining a speed buff. Batman can also dodge vertically, just like Superman. His neutral special allows him to equip a bat bomb, which he can attach to enemies by attacking them. He can either do this with melee hits or with his batarang. His side special fires a grappling hook that'll pull Batman towards whatever enemy or wall it hits. His up special just fucking punches a guy, which, like, okay, fair. And his down special creates a cloud of smoke. And as we all know, Batman loves being in smoke. Look at him, he's going nuts, he fucking loves it in there. In the smoke, enemies are dealt a slow debuff, while allies gain a brief invulnerability buff. It'd be cool if Batman had some sort of counter like he does in the Arkham or Injustice games, but it's clear MultiVersus is leaning more towards the ninja side of Batman than the brawler side with this game. In between the grapple hook, smoke bomb, and incredibly fun Batarang, it's hard to complain with what we got. Up next is Bugs the Mage Bunny. Ah yes, my favorite Looney Tunes wizard. I don't know why Bugs is a mage and characters like Garnet and Rain Dog aren't, but whatever, let's see what you got. His passive causes him to rifle through a box of items while crouched, which Bugs can use during combat. The items are random and the passive has a cooldown, so you're not going to be conjuring up many items per match. So alright Gandalf, what else you got? Well, his down basic attack is basically Shaggy's down special, so that's pretty wild. But it's in Bugs' special attacks that we really see him get crazy. His neutral special is Safe Investment, which is my favorite move of his because it just looks so damn intimidating. You just slap a target on the ground and Bugs goes, "Go on Doc, I fucking dare ya." After a few seconds, a safe will crash down from the heavens, dealing massive damage. You can then use the safe as a projectile by hitting it, and breaking the safe will cause it to drop an item. His side special causes him to plant a big ol' samooch on the fighter closest to him, charming enemies and applying a rage buff to allies. Charmed enemies follow Bugs around and are unable to attack for a short period of time. Next is his up special, which is an absolute force to be reckoned with. It summons a rocket that damages enemies and also acts as a wall. Bugs can use his side special in the air to ride the rocket and turn it into a platform. This thing is huge, does a good amount of damage, and acts as a platform, which, as we should all know by now, I am very into. Finally, his down special allows him to burrow underground, becoming invulnerable for a short period of time before springing back up. Bugs and his allies can use the holes left behind to teleport between them. Bugs has a ton of really cool options to play around with. But the problem is, you can't use them for most of the game. Almost every one of Bugs' abilities has a super long cooldown, which means you don't get to play Bugs for half the time you play Bugs. And I get that cooldowns are necessary for balancing in games, but in a game this fast-paced and frantic, where characters like Harley Quinn have almost no cooldowns and movement speed so high I feel like I'm lagging every time I fight her, characters with a lot of cooldowns just feel disadvantaged. But what do I know? I'm no expert. Maybe Bugs is actually god tier and my pea-brain's too stupid to understand him. Up next is Tom the Mage Jerry. He's a mage too? What a weird fucking game. These guys are awesome, not just because of their moveset, which is great, but because Tom and Jerry aren't even playing the same fucking game as everybody else. See, Tom doesn't care about Shaggy. Shaggy's over here trying to introduce himself, trying to make friends at this event, trying to mingle, and Tom doesn't give a fuck. Because Tom's not here to fight all these clowns. He's here to fight Jerry. All of Tom's attacks are actually towards Jerry, and if Shaggy happens to get in the way, well, he should have taken a note from Jerry and learned to duck. Tom's passive allows allies to pick up Jerry, gaining a buff that increases damage. Tom's neutral special lets him fire Jerry with a slingshot and opens up a ton of possibilities. While unattached, Jerry will shoot corks at the opponent as long as they're between him and Tom. Tom can also throw tennis balls that Jerry can hit, that Tom can hit, that do massive damage. See, I wasn't even kidding. Tom isn't here to play your dumb fighting game, Tom's here to get his morning swings in. Tom's side special sends out a fishing line that damages enemies at the tip. His up special sees him strap Jerry to a rocket that you can control mid-flight. God, these guys are so fucking cool! His down special causes him to lay down a trap which will do damage to enemies that run over it. Do this in the air and the trap becomes a stick of dynamite that deals more damage if swatted by Tom's racket. You know what's great about this mage character? You can use his fucking abilities. The few cooldowns they have are super short, and all of their moves are super creative, both visually and mechanically. They're a lot like Jake, where you feel like the devs just had a ton of fun coming up with the most creative ways they could possibly fight, and they're definitely one of the most visually impressive fighters in the game. Alright, what the hell could Velma do? Yeah, you guys want me to get excited about Velma? Look at her, she doesn't even have a Jinkies attack. Oh, but she do be snooping though. Oh my god, wait, what? She has heat-seeking sass? Velma's neutral basic attack sends a word bubble at the opponent which marks them. Every subsequent word bubble will then hone in on the marked target. Velma's passive allows her to collect evidence, which drops from several of her attacks. With enough evidence, Velma can snitch on her opponent, calling the police and sending their ass to jail. Damn, Velma, you're not fucking around, are you? Velma's neutral special fires a beam of concentrated encouragement that heals allies and damages enemies. If an ally is hit with the final blast, they'll spawn a stronger beam that deals even more damage. Velma's side special has her charge up and run before grabbing the nearest sorry son of a bitch and tossing them over the edge of the arena. Jesus, Velma, when you're not yelling at him or trying to get him arrested, you're tossing Shaggy out of bounds. Can he just play the game? Is that alright with you, Velma? Doing her side special in the air fires a projectile that propels her forward. Velma's up special throws a vial of freezing chemicals down that will freeze her opponents if they acquire too many stacks. Do this in the air, and instead she flashes a camera that deals damage and propels her upwards. Her down special hurls a book at her allies, filling them with knowledge, because, you know, getting hit in the head with a book is how you absorb its knowledge, and resetting their cooldowns. If Batman perfectly simulates playing as the Dark Knight, Velma simulates playing as a Karen. She yells, snitches, throws things, and spills shit all over the store floor. She's a mess, but also probably the most aggressive support in the game. And that's the full current roster of MultiVersus. If you guys like this video, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what other games you'd like to see me cover in the future. Would you want to see more MultiVersus coverage? Do you want to see me play some other games? Let me know. And I will see you guys next time.
But now I always seem to freeze.